all shook with boots and song, with men who knew where they belonged. The torches spat against the beams like sparks escaping battle dreams. The old shields watch from timbered walls, so scarred by wars and hornblast calls. No richer hall could ever stand than one built hard by sea and land. The scald stepped forth with a withered voice, and made the bravest hearts rejoice. He sang of ships on winter foam, of men who found in war a home. He sang of fathers stern and gone, whose names still burned when fire shone, of shield walls standing through the rain, of kings who themselves taller by and by. One by one the warriors rose and swore before the hall and gods to never flee from steel or flame, to never fail their father's name. One swore for kin, one swore for fame, one for the raid at coming dawn. One raised no word but only blade, and in that iron oath was made. The fire climbed high with every vow, as if the gods were listening now. Across the snow before the dawn, the sea was black, the gulls were thin, but battle already lived within. We pushed away from pine and stone, toward lands and fates not yet our own. The oars struck hard, the mast leaned wide, the dragon prows consumed the tide. For once the and oath were done, a Northman's path had just begun. So let the long night feast remain in every hall through snow and rain. For battles pass and kings may fall, but vows still haunt the timbered wall. And when the young men lift the horn, they'll feel the strength of those before. In every spark, in every scar, in every song of northern war, we are the feast, the fire, the cry, the oath that does not fade or die. clouds like mountain road. The waves were iron sharp and wide, yet still we drove against the tide. The dragon ship beneath us groaned like some old beast of wood and bone, but every man aboard that frame desired more than a quiet name. For men who grow where storms are bred do not fear where black skies spread. Yet none would ask the sea for grace. We met the storm with weathered face. The rowers pulled, the steersman swore. We drove toward some forgotten shore, for glory stands where comfort died, beneath the black and raven sky. And God's our own. The horn was past, the mead ran slow, as old wounds warmed in ember glow. The skull recalled the mountain dead, that past their wounded courage led. And every song he cast in flame turned grief into a stronger name. For what is lost if not the fire? At dawn the field lay pale and white. The enemy formed side by side. Their spears were raised, their horses stared, their banners in the wet wind's snare. We answered with the shield war cry that made the ravens flood the sky. The axes flashed, the spear points tore, the valley thundered into war. And every wound the day would give only proved how Northmen live. So when the clouds turn black once more and sea wind shakes the northern shore, remember those who rode the rain and turned their sorrow into strength. Though blades grow dull and ships decay, the raven sky remembers still. Each oath, each scar, each battle cry, each nameless grave where heroes lie. We are the men the storm would try, and could not break beneath the sky. light. The village slept beneath the snow, unaware of what winds blow. We moved like shadows down the pine, with axe and shield and purpose grim. The dragon ships behind us lay, waiting for blood, for gold, for day. No southern priest could bless our path. We walked with frost, with gods, with wrath. The sea had brought us to that shore, through sleet and black unending roar. The oars had beaten time with fate, until at last we reached the gate. Our furs were stiff with salted cold, our hands were rough, our eyes were old. Yet still there burned a hunger bright, to win a name before the light. For all who rade through ice and storm must make their legend fierce and warm. At midnight by a hidden flame, we whispered oath and battle name. One vowed for silver, one for kin, one just to feel the fire within. The scouts spoke low of Odin's hall, where fearless men still feast and call. And every warrior heard that song, and felt no fear could linger long. For death grows small when honor stands, alive in hearts and scarred hands. Then came the rush, the shattered door, the cries, the clash, the sudden war. The snow turned dark beneath our tread, the ravens circled overhead. The torches burned, the banners fell, the valley rang like struck on, and through the smoke and panic there, we moved like storm-made flesh and air. No mercy lives in winter's raid, only the truth that steel has made. So let the cold winds tell the tale, across the fjord, across the gate, of men who came in darkest hour, with iron will and ocean power. Though halls may burn and kings may flee, the winter raid lives on at sea. In every scale's enduring cry, in every raven crossing sky. We are the frost that breaks the door, the night-born ray, the northern The shield wall rose before the dawn, a line of oak and iron drawn. We stood as one on frozen field, each man a sword, each arm a shield. The wind blew hard from sea to plain, it brought the scent of snow and rain. Yet not one footstep shifted back, we held the line against the black. No wall of stone is half so strong as men who know where they belong. Our fathers taught us in the hall to stand for kin or not at all, to lock the rim and hold the spear when horses scream and death is near. The old shields hanging on the wall still carried marks of ancient war, each dent a lesson, each split seam a scar from some immortal dream. And now those stories lived in us, in muscle old and dangerous trust. Ships brought us through the night, through blackened wave and iron light. The oars had cut the bitter sea toward this hour and destiny. By firelight we had passed the horn and laughed at what the dark might bring. For all who stand in shield and line already give their fear to time. A man is truly weighed in war, not by his words, but by his scars. Then came the clash, the crash, the cry, with ravens wheeling through the sky. The first spear broke, the next struck wood. The front line groaned, but firmly stood. The axes bit, the helmets rang. The mud beneath us churned and sang. The wounded bled, the strongest swayed. Yet still the wall was never frayed. And every foe who struck that seam met a winter forged in oak and scream. Men who held the line with blood and bone and grim design. For shield walls fall when hearts grow weak, not when the storm first starts to speak. But ours was built of colder things, of oath and grief and elder kings. And though our bones lie far apart, one wall still stands in every heart. We are the line that would not yield, the North alive in shield and fear. through frost and living flame. I'll feel the sea cut through my hand and bleed upon some foreign land. The north has carved me into bone, into a man of wood and stone. The wolves have heard my battle cry, the ravens know the way I die. No peaceful field was meant for me, but oar and shield and wrathful sea. The long ship rides a storm like fate. It does not ask, it does not wait. The rowers bend with backs like pine as thunder climbs the darkened line. The dragon proud devours spray. The stars have all been torn away. Yet still we move, yet still we grin, for battle already wakes within. A man who seeks the brightest fame must walk where death already came. At night we gather close to flame and speak each brother's battle name. The horn is passed, the mead is poured, the skald remembers every sword. He sings of men who held the wall and did not break and did not crawl. And every boy who hears that verse feels fear grow smaller, courage rise. Stand when hope grows thin, already wear the gods within. Then morning breaks in ash and steel, and all men learn what Northmen feel. The shields lock hard, the line moves near, with neither doubt nor room for fear. The axes fall, the spearheads sing, the earth shakes under everything. The ravens turn above the slain, the smoke climbs black through blood and rain. And if I fall before night's flame, I'll fall with honor in my name. The path I chose, where winter bites and battle grows. For every wound and every scar has led me where the bold men are. And when at last my sight is gone and all the roaring waves move on, I know the hall of gold and fire will greet the end of my desire. Before Valhalla takes my breath, I'll live a Northman's life and death. gates were wide, the village still slept through the night. We had risen long before to meet the sea and meet the war. The old men stood beside the flame and blessed the voyage in our name. The women watched from door and pine, while moonlight silvered shield and line. No weeping broke the frozen air, only the breath of war hung there. We launched the ships on black and foam and left behind the roofs of home. The dragon heads look grim and tall, like beasts that long to see men fall. The oars came down and measured might, the sea received us into night. The waves hit hard, the salt froze white, yet no man wished to flee the fight. For those who grow where storms are born do not fear tide or thunder or war. By firelight on a distant strand, we passed the horn from hand to hand. One warrior sang of fathers gone, another swore to carry on. The scow then raised a darker tune of ships that vanished under moon, of kings who died yet were not lost, because their names outlive the frost. And in that song we all could hear that glory stands much higher than fear. With shields and axes in each hand, the war cry broke the morning white. The enemy fell winter ride. We struck like waves against the rock, like thunder loosed with sudden shock. The helmets rang, the banners split, the field itself seemed torn by it. And through the smoke and screaming air, we left our truth and fury there. The frost, the iron will, for every sun it sent to sea still lives in storm and memory. Though ships grow old and graves sink low, the songs of Northmen do not go. They ride the wind from wave to pine, through every age, through every line. We are the sons it gave to war. The storm fjord's blood forevermore. sea. The north wind laid it on my head. Werewolves still walk and kings still bled. From childhood halls of smoke and pine, I learned the axe, the shield, the line. The snow was hard, the food was thin, yet battle fire grew deep within. No soft handshake, the man I am, but winter's breath and iron sand. The long ship pulled from cliff and bay, and carried every doubt away. The rowers bent like rooted oak, the sea answered with spray and smoke. The dragon prow faced wind and foam, as if it hated peace and home. And every man aboard that frame desired a scar, a song, a name. For life means little when it sleeps, untested where the dark sea weeps. At night we drank the bitter mead, and spoke of oath, of loss, of deed. The scowled recall the northern dead, and all the roads their courage led. The fire threw sparks against the dark, like spirits leaving some old mark. And every warrior by that light felt his own soul grow hard and bright. A man may fall upon the plain, but honor lifts him up again. Then came the field, the dawn, the cry, with ravens cutting through the sky. We raised the wall of shield and bone, and held it like the mountain stone. The axes crashed, the spearheads tore, the mud grew black with rage and war. The enemy broke, then tried to stand, but winter fought in every hand, and every wound and every scar only proved what Northmen are. So let the kings wear golden lies, I choose the cold beneath the skies. For crowns of frost do not decay, they live in names that do not fade. The shore was gray with wind and ash. The winter tide began to crash. We stood like stone beside the foam before we left the northern home. The hall behind us glowed with fire. Ahead of us stood dark desire. The dragon ships were drawn in line, like omens carved by fate's design. No man looked back, no voice was weak. We knew the fate we chose to see. Sang in bitter rain, the sea kept striking us again. The oars went deep through blackened foam, as if they carved a road from home. Our furs were wet, our beards were white, but every soul was fixed on fight. The gulls cried once, then disappeared. The sky itself looked battle-seared for all who sail where north winds roar. Must leave a part on every shore. At night we raised a guarded blaze and spoke of lost and golden days. One horn went round from hand to hand, like fire passing through the land. The scow sang old victorious names of shattered kings and burning flames, and every boy who heard that cry would dream of how the brave men die, not broken bed or begging peace, but with their steel and fame increased. At morning broke, the shield wall rose like ice before the river flows. The enemy stood rank and wide, yet fear already moved inside. We met them hard with axe and spear, and turned their courage into fear. The valley rang, the horses screamed, the steel flashed cold, the helmets gleamed, and every step through ash and gore left truth written upon the shore. So let the waves repeat the sound of boots that shook the frozen ground. For though the flesh returns to clay, the bold are not so swept away. The sea will keep what men may lose, the scout will shape what time refuses, and after the fires are gone, the shore will whisper what was done. We are the ash, the tide, the roar, the name still burning on the shore. just stared into the flame and whispered one forgotten name. The Skald then raised his weathered song and showed us where the brave belong. The living listened fierce and still and drank to iron oath and will. And axes in each hand, we charged before the mist had thinned, like winter riding on the wind. The enemy felt the earth resound as boots and steel consumed the ground. The first line cracked, the next line fled, with ravens wheeling over it, and through the mud, through smoke and cry, we taught the weak how wolves can die. So sing of those who rode the foam, and may the storm itself their home. For though our bones may fade below, our pride will never die in snow. The sea remembers every scar, each shattered shield, each battle star. And when the long cold night returns, our names still rise where fire burns. We are the wave, the fan, the sea, the wolves of dark eternity. The mountain stood in frozen flame. The sea already knew our name. We left the hall before first light, to follow oath, to follow fight. With fur on back and steel in hand, we walked the edge of sea and land. The snow beneath our boots was hard, the sky above was cold and dark. No man among us bowed to fear, for war and storm had raised us here. Ships groaned against the tide, like beasts impatient, fierce with pride. The dragon heads faced open foam, as if they hated peace and home. The rowers struck the waves in line, with strength that seemed almost divine. The wind tore hard across crossed the sail, but none would flinch and none grew pale. For every wave that struck the prow only made us stronger now. At night we gathered by the flame and spoke each fallen brother's name. The skald sang low of blood and rain, of kings who rose through grief and pain. The youngest listened sharp and still, the oldest smiled with iron will. Each scar became a sacred mark, each word burned bright against the dark. A man may die and bones may sleep, but song is what the living kill. At dawn the war horn split the gray, and threw the fear of peace away. We stormed ashore with shields held high, while ravens crossed the reddened sky. The axes rang, the helmets broke, the valley drowned in ash and smoke. The enemy bent then broke in line before our wrath and grim design. And every man who held that ground could feel the gods in battle sound. So tell of us when storms return and winter fires begin to burn. For we were forged in frost and flame, and live to honor oath and name. Though ships may sink and steel may rust, the brave are not returned to dust. For every gale that strikes the shore still carries echoes born in war. We are the hand no dart could break, the hammer of the North.